My name's Adam Monaco and I'm the Financial Controller for Hi-Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at Hi-Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. Hi-Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
On today's show, we head over to the UK and to the Croft Circuit in the Yorkshire region for rounds 13 to 15 of the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. And then we jump across to nearby Lincolnshire and head to Cadwell Park for round 4 of the British Sidecar Championship. This is Speedweek.
Last time out we were at Alton Park. Here's a taste of some of the drama. Matt Simpson on pole and gets away better than Sam Tordoff. So too Jordan and Chilton. Into turn 1 cleanly. Tom Oliphant trying to follow Rob Collard. Past Brett Smith, but Smith not giving up so easily this time. Oliphant off. And Matt Simpson crossed the line just 0.2 of a second ahead of Max Chilton and Andrew Jordan, with Sam Tordoff fourth. Race 2, and it's Chilton and Jordan across the front row. Simpson behind, and a good start there by Jordan, but it's Chilton leading with Jordan and Simpson behind, and that's Dan Hamish on the grass. Aidan Moffat has collected a Vauxhall on the other side of the circuit. That's Senna Proctor and Moffat on the grass together with him. And there are flames in the wheel arch of Sam Tordoff Civic. That car's properly on fire. He's looking for a marshal's post and he'll have to make a quick exit. But it's Colin Turkington at the flag with Matt Neal and Tom Chilton 5 seconds behind. So this is the last race of the weekend. We've got an Alfa on pole, Rob Austin with Collard alongside. Collard leads as the Alfa spins up. There's mayhem behind the leading pack. Cars and signage everywhere. Tom Oliphant, Chris Smiley, Rory Butcher, Dan Lloyd. This might well be a red flag depending on how much debris there is on track. Plenty of it, and there is the red flag, which looked pretty much inevitable. And here's the restart on a very depleted grid. Rob Austin looking to get the traction right and get the drop on Collard. Tom Ingram finding a way past Matt Neal, but Neal comes straight back at him. He runs out wide. Adam Morgan launches past Ingram, and Matt Neal launched into the dirt, but give him time and he finds a way to get back on. But it's checkered flag time. Collard makes it a BMW double and a 1-2 as Andrew Jordan follows him over the line. Now a 1-2-3 as race 2 winner Turkington picks up the final podium position. So Collard gets his first win of the year, but it's the consistent Turkington getting all the points. Top of the table ahead of Adam Morgan and Jack Goff, who are tied for second place. Collard's 9th now, ahead of the unlucky Camish.
And the green flag lap is underway. The cars leave the grid headed by those two Subarus, and this, Tim, is going to be fascinating to see whether they can convert the front row into a 1-2 finish, and indeed how this team game pans out and whether there's any contact. So Matt Simpson heads to the grid, and of course this is the first race he's done since that victory at Alton Park, because he had to miss races 2 and 3.
Yeah, troubled start to the weekend. He hit the tyre barriers at the chicane on free practice, and that took off one front end. He also ran into the back of Senna Proctor having locked the brakes up. So a discombobulated start to his weekend.
So let's see how it can improve from here. He will line up behind Jake Hill in the Team Hard Volkswagen, and a reminder that Jake leads Dunlop's Forever Forward award for overtakes. Now at the front, it's Subaru. Warren Scott, the patron, looks on from the pit lane. It's 15 laps. It is round 13 of the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. Which Subaru will lead towards the first corner as we go racing. It's a good start by Sutton. Jordan tries to get on the mix as well, but Sutton will lead Plato on the run down towards Clervaux. Jordan's made a really good start and gets ahead of the Subaru of Jason Plato, but Sutton leads. Jordan goes second, Plato third. Ingram is fourth ahead of Tornoff. Great start. And then you've got Turkington and Collard in the mix. Jelly is off the road. Austin is off the road at the first corner.
Well, the first question's been answered, and that is that Plato will not challenge Sutton into turn one. Sutton's got an opportunity to bed in those hard tyres. A couple of cars cutting across the chicane, which is inevitable on the first lap, but a great start by Sutton. He's streaked away, and Jordan up to second, but you're right, it was Ingram that jumped Tornoff.
Safety car straight away, because we've got two cars that have gone wide at Clervaux. As you saw, there'll be gravel on the road as well. So this will neutralise things. They come now down through the Jim Clark S's on the run towards Barcroft, but Ash Sutton leading the way. Others can race until they get to the boards. So a good start by Andrew Jordan up into second place. Plato third. Fourth, it is Ingram. Fifth is Tornoff. And there, I'm afraid, is Rob Austin, who was pretty buoyant, despite having a lap time taken away during qualifying. When I spoke to him yesterday, he was all fired up for race day, and I'm afraid that he and Stephen Jelly have got together at the first corner. Jelly's BMW looking very second-hand indeed.
Yeah, great shame for Stephen Jelly. Look at the damage on the back of Rob Austin's car. That's preventing him getting out the gravel. But, you know, Jelly had his best qualifying performance of the year on a rear-wheel drive friendly circuit. He just needed a good, clean race, and he'd have had a good weekend going. Now it's going to be really difficult.
Same for Rob Austin, of course, because even if they get the damage repaired in time for race two, he'll be at the back. Talk us through the start.
Well, a great launch by Sutton, and you can see directly behind him, Jordan has been able to slot in behind and box out Plato. Sutton's able to take the racing line in turn one. Ingram has come through on Tornoff. Being on the outside is definitely not the best place to be. And, well, we don't see what causes the cars to go off, but you often get that bunching, and those people in the crowd are wishing they hadn't sat there now, aren't they?
Choking in the dust. Does this show us any more? Jelly seems to go wide, and Austin's on the outside of him.
Now, was there a push from behind that pushed Jelly across the road in front of Austin? We don't know.
So we're behind the safety car, the field turning its way up towards the complex. No indication yet that the safety car is due in. It's going to be at least one more lap, I think. So Ash Sutton leads the way. There's the damage on Stephen Jelly's car.
And that might indicate that he got hit from the rear, I don't know. Although both he and Austin, they started a row apart, but they started on the outside of the grid. So whether there was somebody from the inside that attacked one of them, we just couldn't see in that melee. But this does give everybody an opportunity to just bring their tyres up to temperature. The hard-tyred runners at the front are Sutton, Ingram in 4th place, and then the next one back is actually Butcher in 11th place. But we think that the hard tyre will be better over the duration, but the medium or the prime tyre will be good for the first 5 laps and quicker by about a second.
It's going to be fascinating, isn't it, then, especially in these temperatures, to see that management of the tyre. Andrew Jordan's on the normal tyre, the prime tyre, but the softer tyre for this weekend. So is Jason Plato behind him, and Jason Ballast free, remember. So everybody comes over the timing line. There's another one down the pit lane by the look of it. So in comes one of the team hard cars. That's Jake Hill, I'm afraid to say. So Jake's disappointing weekend is getting no better. And down the pit road has come Jake Hill. So he is in the pit road, and that might well be at the end of the race. We'll wait and see. So the safety car we think is going to be in this time. We're going to go racing, fingers crossed, at the end of this lap. Can Jake Hill get back into the race and stay on the lead lap? A second safety car will bring him back into the game, of course. Colin Turkington here runs in 6th place as the cars accelerate towards Sunny, getting ready for the restart. And can Andrew Jordan, having made a great standing start, get a good rolling start and jump Sutton?
Yeah, much easier on the rolling start, but also harder to pass. And everybody will be mindful of that first corner again and trying to cover the inside.
So we're good pretty much to go racing this Croft Circuit, with the safety car making its way to the complex, ready to dive to pit in. Ash Sutton gets the warmth back into the tyres, the pressure's up once again. Andrew Jordan looking for his maiden win of the season, but podium finisher at Alton Park last time out, confidence up, and he could yet be on the top step here. But Tom Ingram leading the front wheel drive brigade is in the mix as well. He was quickest in FP1, so don't rule him out. Ash Sutton bunches up everybody as they come to the complex, and he's not accelerated yet, so they're all concertinaed behind him, and he will accelerate any second coming out of the hairpin. The green flags will wave, and at the end of lap 3, we will go racing once more at Croft. Here we go. Sutton accelerates away with a wheel on the dirt. Andrew Jordan runs second over the line. Plato third. Ingram in fourth. The Speedweek Toyota heading the motor base forward of Tordoff in the front-wheel drive fight. Then it's Turkington sixth. The lead gap as we restart racing is 0.490 of a second down towards Clairvaux, and it's Sutton ahead of Jordan.
Good restart by Sutton. He waited until they were right on the hairpin before going, which bunched everybody up behind him and gave him a good exit. So that was a good sensible restart, and everybody cleanly through Clairvaux on this restart.
17 laps we're up to now with this safety car period. So 17-lap racers there. Ingram on the inside line trying to attack Plato, trying to defend from Tordoff. Jason gets away as now the heavier Toyota has to go really defensive to keep the Ford Focus at bay. But Sutton now ballast free, getting away from Jordan, who's a bit busy, of course, defending from Plato.
Yeah, very much so. Plato had a new engine after his qualifying engine overheated, so he had a new engine in the car for today, and it's suspected that perhaps all those Subarus which were running highly marginal yesterday, Matt Neal making a move on Tom Boardman, but that all the Subarus perhaps just turned down a touch in the interest of reliability. Now they've got the grid positions.
Matt Neal up a place then. That gives him 11th at the expense of Rory Butcher as the cars come through the complex. And Matt Neal on a mission. He's got Butcher tucked up behind him then. Senna Proctor looking back from Turkington's car. You've got Rob Collard behind. There is Matt Neal then, and you can see the MG damaged at Alton Park, but rebuilt by the AMD squad, and also muscling up the inside further back. Tom Chilton against Dan Camish as they come across the line. Chilton was ahead. Chilton stays ahead, but only just. Ahead of the pair of them in 14th is Ollie Jackson in the Audi. Dan Camish not yet in the points, crawling all over the back of Chilton there. Look as they dive down towards Clairvaux, and Chilton's attacking and defending at the same time.
Yeah, and remarkably, those two floppies on the exit of Clairvaux were still there. They normally get wiped out on the first lap, don't they?
Give it time.
Yeah.
They won't be there at the end, I'll guarantee it. Here they come then out of the chicane. Jackson, Chilton, Camish. This is the run towards Tower, and there, Collard versus Cook. The battle is on for 7th place, so Rob Collard dropping away slightly from Colin Turkington. Josh Cook looking for a way by as Ash Sutton gets away, but look now, Plato is closing onto the back of Jordan. The gap was 0.4 of a second, but Jason is quicker in the first sector. The gap second to third is coming down.
Yeah, this is still built an interesting, I mean, it could perhaps explain by the hard tyre. Sutton's not really getting away. There's that big slide again from Jordan. We saw that in qualifying yesterday, coming through sunny out. Just getting a slide on and losing a bit of momentum up the straight towards the complex.
Jordan second, Plato third. And for as long as the BMW has to defend, so Ash Sutton is trying to build that lead up front. Although that said, Jordan has just done the absolute best in the middle sector. But look at Plato with less weight coming out of the hairpin. The two of them are nose to tail. BMW versus Subaru. Down towards Clairvaux they go. In 4th place, you've got Tom Ingram, just dropping a couple of tenths on that lap, but staying ahead of Tordoff, and significantly, of course, set to bank points. The lead gap is now 9 tenths, and Jordan to Plato is 0.3 of a second.
And Ingram's done a good job to stay in front of the ballast-free Tordoff. Oh, here's a gaggle coming down to the first corner.
Adam Morgan's in all of that, just behind Josh Price. Look as they turn their way through. So that means that Price has gained a spot. Morgan has dropped back, in fact, on that lap. Goff has got ahead of him as well. So has the Sicily Motorsport Mac Tools car got a problem? Adam Morgan struggling with the setup yesterday. He thought it might be the weight, and he's dropping places here. As now, look, Rory Butcher comes under attack from Senna Proctor. MG versus Vauxhall, and it's Butcher who goes a little bit wider, but just consolidates the place.
Yeah, at the moment, that car, oh, there was a tag from behind. That was Camish on the back of Chilton. They've been scrapping over. Fortunately, they both keep going. Bit of a misunderstanding there. Looked like coming into the final hairpin.
So out of all of that, Chilton stayed ahead as Proctor lines up to have another go at Rory Butcher at sunny out, but he couldn't do it. Gap disappears, door closed. The MG showing good pace around here. It's been a winning car here in the past, of course. In the wet as well. But Rory Butcher is not disgracing himself. He's in 12th place, and for a man that's not raced here for 5 years, that's pretty decent going for the moment. Out of the complex he comes up towards the hairpin. Now up front, Ash Sutton continues to lead the way, and at the end of 6 laps, he's a second clear. He is chipping away, he's pulling clear of Jordan, and that gap, second to third, is nothing at all. Look, Jason Plato is right on the back of Andrew Jordan, diving into Clairvaux.
As far as weight's concerned, this track, it's easier to carry some excess ballast than it is certainly at Alton where we were before. So the difference between Jordan and Plato, which is only 27 kilos, is not significant in terms of performance.
how's Rory Butcher doing in the MG? He comes out of the chicane, still with Senna Proctor behind him. This is the fight for 12th place.
Senna Proctor was very restrained, I thought, at the end of the last lap. Butcher left a huge gap on the inside going into the final hairpin, and most drivers would have slung the car up the inside there, but Proctor was waiting for a better opportunity, clearly.
He might have done it had it been race 3, of course, as well, with weeks of repair time. So we are on lap 7 of what's a 17-lap race. Butcher versus Proctor then. Senna winner at Brands Hatch in the wet-dry race we had earlier on in the season, remember, round 2 of the championship, and here he comes towards Sonny. Not able to make the move then. And what about Plato on Jordan as up towards the complex they come to the eye? The gap a little bit less between the top 2, indeed, on this lap. Andrew Jordan doing his level best to get back onto terms with Sutton, and in fact in sectors 1 and 2 he is fractionally quicker. This, look, is Turkington having a go at Tordorf, which might help Ingram to escape. But last time, Sutton to Jordan was 1 second. Has that gap come down as they go across the line? It's still hovering around the 1 second mark. 4/10 back is Jason Plato, so it's still really a 3-way fight for the lead. So Dan Camish drops back. Tom Oliphant, who of course was also involved in that big start line shunt at Alton Park, missed that 3rd race, comes now through Sonny out, trying to get himself into the points now that he's moved himself up past Camish, whose teammate Matt Neal is in 11th. Really, the best of the Hondas is the Dan Lloyd car, isn't it, in 9th overall. As there, look, you've got Jordan and Plato, 2nd and 3rd, coming over the timing line. Now, Sutton leads by 1.3 seconds. That margin is increasing all the while. Jordan runs 2nd and Plato 3rd. Gap back to the front-wheel drive leader, Tom Ingram. Then it's Tordorf ahead of Turkington, Collard, Cook, Lloyd, and behind, up into 10th place now, is Matt Neal.
Well, it's interesting. History is sort of repeating itself, because last year Sutton was on pole for race 1, which he won on the hard tyre. If it carries on like that, then Turkington, who won race 2 and could be very well placed actually in the 2nd race if positions finish like that, vis-a-vis weight in the cars in front of him. He won 2nd race last year, could be on for that again.
Let us see then, as the cars accelerate into the Jim Clark S's for the 10th time. Sutton building this lead, the reigning champion, of course, up front. Teammate Jason Plato 3rd, the best we have seen from him all season. But if anybody thought Subaru was going to dominate the race, then a big cheer is needed for Andrew Jordan, because he's managed to split them. Yes, he's not being able to stay on the tail of Sutton, but he's doing a good job of defending that 2nd place. On board with Turkington, that's Collard locking up behind.
Yeah, just following in the car in front, but it'll make him slow off the corner. That's Tower Corner. The next section, all being flat out, will have cost him a bit of time and given Turkington just a little bit of breathing room. But Turkington's stuck. Look how close he is behind Tordorf. And oh, now a move up the inside. He's on the wrong side, but Plato shows how much traction and turning ability. And here we see in a straight line down the straight, not much between them for all you boost checker viewers, not much between the 2 cars. Yes, there's 27 kilos between them, but that is not significant. So it certainly looks like in race trim, the Subaru is very equal to the other cars. Oh, now that's a real good move. Jordan's running into some tyre problems maybe, but ran wide there, coming through Hawthorns, and Plato was able to squirt up the inside before the chicane. Now, will he be able to close on teammate Ash Sutton? The race is on now.
And also, what about the last place on the podium? Can Jordan hang on in there? And that's Adam Morgan with big damage. Somebody's got into the back of him, and that's Adam Morgan's race done. The marshal there saying, peel off the circuit, get out of the way.
He'll have no trouble turning left.
That's very true. Graphically shown. Adam Morgan out then, so he came here, joint 2nd in the championship. That's a big, big blow to his hopes. So this is your new battle for 3rd and 4th. It's Jordan versus Ingram. Tordorf dropping away now, slightly into the clutches of Turkington. So can Ingram get himself onto the podium in the leading front-wheel drive car? And can even Andrew Jordan fight back against Jason Plato, having lost that ground? The answer seemingly is no. The gap is widening a little, isn't it?
Well, if anyone had thought Jason Plato had lost his ability, I think that's been answered very clearly in this race. Once a driver like Jason gets a sniff of a win and being at the front of the grid, all the natural speed and racecraft comes out. And you know, he qualified only a 10th or so away from Ash Sutton with an overheating engine. So you know, he's clearly back on the pace, and that was a great move.
He's got to make up 1.8 seconds, which I think is probably too great, given how evenly matched those cars are, but he'll throw everything at it, that is for sure. Now, what about Jordan to Ingram? It's half a second between them. This is Turkington, who is still bored at staring at the back of Tordorf, but he hasn't found an answer yet to the Ford ahead of him. Sam, his former BMW teammate, and now on the acceleration up towards the right at Tower. Is there going to be an opportunity? No, he's not close enough.
But with 75 kilos difference between the two cars, that is the maximum differential you could get between the cars. Turkington will still be very happy with this performance, and as Dick Bennett's from West Surrey Racing is always very keen for me to point out, the rear-wheel drive cars also carry an extra 30 kilos for being rear-wheel drive, but that is their base weight, so that's the way it is.
So Turkington through Sunny, inching up, look onto the back of the Ford. Meantime, there is Jordan falling back from Plato, and Ingram is getting closer and closer all the time. Ingram is on the harder tyre, which of course here is the option. Jordan's on the prime tyre, and out of the complex up to the hairpin they come, and this is where really the move started from Plato. Can Ingram find any room at all?
But despite the tyre disparity, and again you see oversteer from Jordan coming off the corner, you would expect the front-wheel drive car of Ingram, even on the hard tyre, but with added weight, to be falling away from the rear-wheel drive cars. So this is, I think there'll be some head-scratching perhaps in the Jordan camp. It's a good performance. You know, he's on the podium, but he hasn't been able to stay with those two Subarus.
Indeed, that's right. The gap is widening between Plato and Jordan, and you can see what it is between Jordan and Ingram now as they sprint towards Tower. So the Toyota on the tail of the BMW, 27 kilos in the BM that's rear-wheel drive, 48 in the front-wheel drive Toyota, and Ingram has a look to the inside at Tower. No way through there. You can also see, though, how Tordoff behind has dropped away because he's busy defending from Turkington. We're currently on lap 13. Look at that little gaggle. 4 of them now. Tordoff, Turkington, Collard, Cook together, and Ingram crawling all over the back of Jordan for third place.
Yeah, this is going to get, these two little battles are going to get very interesting. The battle for third between the two cars, which is Jordan and Ingram, and then we've got this Tordoff, Turkington, Collard, Cook battle.
So out of Sunny goes the fight for fourth. Meantime, it's still nose to tail for third place. Ingram has had a lap really glued to the tail of the Team Pertec BMW car of Andrew Jordan. Into the complex they come. There up the road are the Subarus leading. The gap was 1.8, it's 1.6 there. Ingram tries the outside at the hairpin. That doesn't work. Can he get up alongside? He clips the curb, but he's going to be on the outside line for Clerbo. That's not ideal there, so Jordan stays ahead for the moment.
And Jordan is really suffering with rear grip. He couldn't put the power down through that complex. But what I would like to point is, in front of this, Plato has shot away from... Oh, he's gone wide now! That's it! Yeah! And the spin, he couldn't even hold it on the road. He hasn't got a puncture from the look of it, but he's been losing rear-end grip, and the rear must have just let go going into Clerbo. It's dropped him all the way back to 10th behind Dan Lloyd. But what I was going to say is, look at this battle for the lead. Plato has been inches his way up to Sutton with consistently quicker laps. On the last lap, he was half a second quicker than Sutton, and he's going to be on him with time to go in this race.
It was 1.8 seconds between them. It is now 1.1 seconds, and Jason can sniff a win. He's definitely back in town, isn't he? But Ash Sutton is not going to give up the lead without a fight. So now Tom Ingram is third, and after a rare spin, and here it is, he goes wide through the gravel. Andrew Jordan is way, way back.
And he had full lock on there, but it just wasn't enough to save him. And it seems like the track is a little bit dirty there, isn't it? Because Ingram himself had a bit of a moment, and so did the following cars.
So that's going to shuffle the order, of course, as here are the Subarus almost as one. Now, they come out of the hairpin. Now, would they consider swapping over the lead, at least to give Jason an extra point for leading a lap? They're not really championship fighters, so it's probably a rather ambitious thought, but it's always a good team idea.
And also, if I was Ash Sutton, I wouldn't let Plato lead for a point, because he may not let you back past. No, they're not going to do any of that. 7/10
of a second it is between them. And we've got a driving standards flag being given to Matt Simpson. So Ingram up to third, Tordoff fourth, Turkington fifth, Collard is sixth, and Jordan down to 9th place after his dramas at Clervaux. So Tom Ingram, top front-wheel drive car, and he's on the harder tyre, and he's got 48 kilos. This is a good effort, banking points again.
Yeah, very good effort. He and Turkington will be very pleased at the moment with their races. Perhaps Tordoff and Andy Jordan less so.
Indeed, so Jordan trying to get himself back into the mix against Dan Lloyd. And let's have a look at more dramas here. Mike Bushell's car with the flapping bonnet. The scrutineers may want that in if he doesn't come in himself.
Yeah, following Camish, whose bonnet and front end look a little bit deranged as well from that earlier incident with Chiltern. Quick look at Butcher. He's following Jackson through this flat-out Jim Clark S's. Jackson gets a little wide as they break and come down to through Barcroft into Sunny Inn. So difficult to stop the car. Butcher using plenty of inside curb there to help hook the car around the corner, but of course it does affect your braking.
So we've got 2 laps to go. We've got 8 tenths between the leading Subarus. Ingram is 3rd, and as I say, Matt Neal now up into 9th place at the expense of Andrew Jordan. On board with Butcher through Clairvaux, accelerating up now towards the right at Hawthorne. So the lead gap, 8 tenths through the first sector. Plato quicker than Sutton. There they are, the 2 Subarus running together. Can Jason get there in time?
And I can just tell from the body English that Sutton is wringing the neck of that Subaru. He's using absolutely every inch of the road. He wasn't doing that earlier in the race. He was really controlling the car. Look, he's absolutely on the limit. He knows that if Jason gets even remotely close to a car length behind him, that he'll have a go. So he's pulling everything he can out of that car.
A lap and a bit to go then. This is the complex, then there is the hairpin, and then there is the last lap of this first of 3 touring car rounds at Croft through the hairpin. Number 1, Sutton, 99, Plato, 1st and 2nd. All of which are words we have not used for a long time. Warren Scott applauds as they go on to the last lap. The gap is still hovering around the 8 tenths of a second mark.
Let me read the body ink language there. That was Warren saying, everything's fine if it just stays as it is, boys. I'm happy with that. You've done a great job. Please bring the cars home like that. That's what he was really saying.
And then I can breathe.
Oh.
Contact here. That's Chiltern getting into the back of Ollie Jackson and doesn't force the issue, stays behind him. So the places remain in that same order. So we've got 2/3 of a lap to go, and Ash Sutton looks as though he might be on target, should be on target for an 8th career win as he comes out of tower. Jason Plato behind him. Wasn't the best of starts by Jason, dropping in behind Andrew Jordan, but he fought back and he's got himself there into 2nd place.
Yeah, Sutton has driven very well, managed to start the race. When Plato got through to 2nd, he picked it up a little bit as soon as he saw the gap coming down, and he's never let it get below sort of half a second. So he's it may be below a second, but he's been matching Plato on the last couple of laps. A fabulous victory and a return to the top step of the podium for Ash Sutton.
So another different winner this season. Ash Sutton comes into the complex now up towards the hairpin. For Team BMR, for Subaru, it is going to be a 1-2 finish. Ash Sutton it is that leads. Jason Plato is going to be 2nd. Ash Sutton, with a flash of the lights, comes up to the checkered flag, up to the pit wall to celebrate with the team. It's a 1-2 for the Subaru de Vaux. Ash Sutton wins at Croft. Jason Plato takes 2nd, 8 tenths of a second the margin. Tom Ingram wins the front-wheel drive class effectively in the Toyota. And who is going to be 4th? It's almost a dead heat as they come to the line. Toured off ahead of Turkington by a 10th. Collard is 6th, Cook 7th. Lloyd 8th, 9th goes the way of Matt Neal, and Andrew Jordan 10th. A race that promised so much, but just did not quite deliver, did it, with that spin and dramas with the tyres. Still they battle on. Proctor 11th, Cole 12th, Butcher 13th, Ollie Jackson is just 14th ahead of Tom Chiltern. Tom Oliphant out of the points ahead of Chris Smiley. Dan Camish here, coming across the line. He was 18th at the start of the lap. He's 19th at the end of it. Josh Price ahead of him.
Yeah, Josh Price, a great move round the outside of the final hairpin, all the way round the outside and out, dragging Camish to the line with a bit of rear-wheel drive advantage. So good move by Price at the last corner.
So, Ash Sutton, race winner, and everybody at BMR breathes a huge sigh of relief. Yes, they've had a bit more boost, but they've modified the air intake, the radiator intake, the whole front aero has been improved, and you add all of that together, you also take 2 quick drivers in rear-wheel drive cars with no weight at a circuit kind to rear-wheel drive. And as Tim described it yesterday, it's the perfect storm for the opposition, really, because it all fits very nicely for the Team BMR squad and celebrations in the cars. Ash Sutton wins round 13 from Jason Plato. Tom Ingram heads the front-wheel drive contingent and also the independents in 3rd ahead of Sam Tordoff and then Colin Turkington. Rob Collard 6th ahead of Josh Cook and Dan Lloyd. 9th goes to Matt Neal, and 10th after that spin, Andrew Jordan. 32 cars on the grid. It stretches all the way back round the hairpin, and we are good to go racing. Round 14 of the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. Lights go red. It's blast off and a good start by Plato. A little bit of a sluggish start by Ingram in comparison with the man behind him, Colin Turkington. The Subarus run side by side. Sutton's trying to defend from Jason Plato on the outside line. Ingram gets up the inside. He's going to grab the advantage on the inside line of the Toyota. Ingram gets the lead. Fantastic stuff. Tom Ingram leads coming out of Clervaux. Front-wheel drive leads at a rear-wheel drive circuit. Can he hang on to it through the chicane? Yes, he can. Brilliant.
What a fantastic start, but it did look very much like Plato's car was moving before the lights went out. We'll have to look at that again. Certainly the officials will look at it because it's sat on the front row, but that's to take nothing away. Oh, no, Josh Cook, that's going to be in the wall.
That's a big off into the field. Josh Cook goes off at high speed at Tower. Yellow flags fly. The marshals will get there, but Josh Cook spears off the road. He's not hit the wall, thankfully, but he's gone into the field, and so the new Combine Vauxhall gets itself back towards the circuit.
That's Butcher's car.
And that's James Cole's car, and there are bits flying in the air. So it's been a lively first lap. I suspect we might get a safety car here, but let's wait and see, because the leaders are on their way up towards the complex. James Cole continues. There's debris on the road. Ingram leads Sutton. Plato is third. Fourth is Turkington. In fifth place, it is Sam Tordoff. And there is Josh Cook. He's managed to dig himself out of Northallerton, and he's back on track.
Jordan made a great start. He made up 3 places. Look at that. It's almost like he's got no brakes. I don't know what happened there. That was so fast.
Absolutely.
Whether he got on the grass on the left on the approach, but he was so lucky not to hit the tyres at that point.
And this is more drama on the opening lap of the race. That's how James Cole ended up in strife. And that was badly delayed as the tyre stack is whacked across the road.
And that is why I hate tyre stacks, because that was just putting 500 pounds worth weight in the middle of the road for other cars to hit through no fault of their own. And it's so dangerous.
Andrew Jordan under attack as he comes over the line. So to recap the order, it's Sutton, Ingram, Turkington, Tordoff, Collard. And now look at this for 6th. Jordan is the cork in the bottle, isn't he? Because right there behind him, you've got Lloyd, you've got Neil, you've got Proctor, you've got Jackson, you've got Butcher, you've got Oliphant, Smiley, Camish. Morgan is making good progress up into 16th place. There's a whole line of cars, like race 1 really, stuck behind Jordan.
Yeah, he's obviously not liking that setup. He made a good start, made up 3 places. But remember, he said to us that they changed the setup dramatically. There's a car off on the grass coming towards us.
Matt Neal ahead of Dan Lloyd. That's a change of place then, so that's going to put him up into 7th place. Matt now, he's carving his way up the order, although Dan Lloyd fights back. Good little battle between the Hondas here. That was Matt Neal getting past Senna Proctor. Tom Chilton up the inside as well. And
more tyres in the road. Just ridiculous.
Right, Dan Lloyd wants his place back. Elbows out, leans on Matt Neal. Up the inside comes Tom Chilton. Up the inside goes Senna Proctor. 1 up and 2 back then for Dan Lloyd. And Matt Neal's the real loser out of all of that.
Yeah, well, there's some strong racing there. I mean, although he got through, they lost 2 places between them, didn't they? So they've now got to fight back, Dan Lloyd and Matt Neal. On board now with... Well, was that another drive-through penalty?
Adam Morgan has got a drive-through.
Yes.
Number 33. Adam Morgan gets a drive-through. We've still got Jason Plato on the screen for needing a drive-through, but he has taken it. So Adam Morgan is given a drive-through penalty. You're on board with Colin Turkington. Now he's 3rd, and because he's attacking Ingram, so Sutton's getting away a little bit.
With all these tyres, there's the replay. Look, he moved definitely before the lights went out. And that's a very unusual mistake for a man with his experience. Yes, he wanted to make a great start, but these cars, they hold them on a line lock, a brake line lock. I cannot believe racing is going on with tyres in the middle of the track. This is really dangerous.
And right on the apex as well, isn't it? So
yeah.
Ian Watson, the clerk of the course, Dave White, his deputy, will have a look at it. It may be that we get a safety car to just tidy up the circuit, because there's that. There was also the incident here, wasn't there, where the tar stack was knocked across the road.
Yeah.
And the debris there's still in the way as well. Now there's Andrew Jordan coming back at Rob Collard, 5th and 6th, these two, as they head to the line there. However, in the pit lane is the Tom Boardman MG. That looks very hot.
That's clearly overheated, but it looks like Jordan's got to grips with this setup now, doesn't it? Because he is coming back at Collard quite strongly.
So with 6 laps to go, this is Turkington. He was saying after race one how hot it was inside the car. It'll be no cooler this time around. Maximum concentration. And look, they're approaching a bit of traffic as well up the road now. Bobby Thompson, I think, is the back marker that will soon be negotiated. Turkington absolutely on the tail of Ingram as they accelerate out of the hairpin. Ash Sutton escaping up the road now. 1.5 seconds to the good. But this is largely because Ingram is having to be more defensive to try and keep Turkington at bay. And is this how Collard lost the place to Jordan?
Yeah, he defends on the inside. No, he gave him that place. He gave him that place. I think the team might have... He's got a problem now. He's out. He's got a problem. Either he knew he had a problem or the team told him to let the faster BMW through, but Collard has now got a problem. Oh, my goodness. I hope this isn't a return of some of the
puncture,
gremlins.
Isn't it? Is it a puncture on the left rear?
Well, his car's not sitting down, but it doesn't look right.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, I think you could be right, David. He's got a puncture on the left rear. Good spot.
There you go, Rob Collard. Perhaps it was going down and he felt it. Perhaps the team advised him, but either way, that's a long limp home, isn't it?
Well, you know, there's so much debris on the track. We've had stones, we've had tyres, we've had floppy markers, we've had so much rubbish on the track. It's almost not surprising, is it? I think that's the second puncture we've seen in this race.
So Jordan gains a place. Everybody behind, of course, gains a place. And the leader is Ash Sutton by 1.7 seconds. So it looks like he could be on for 2 in a row, despite Tom Ingram leading on that first lap and a bit. Turkington runs third ahead of Tordoff. Jordan, Chilton 6th here. Proctor 7th there. Matt Neal is 8th. Gap back, Dan Lloyd 9th. And into the top 10, Rory Butcher.
Well, they hold rallycross meetings here, and the track is starting to resemble the rallycross circuit, isn't it?
It is rather. It's just as robust as well. Matt Simpson up the inside of Mike Bushell. Through he goes. Off goes the Volkswagen. Jack Goff gets through. Aidan Moffat's up the inside as well. And Moffat tries to wriggle past Jack Goff. Elbows out. I'm coming through, says Moffat. So he's just gained 2 places in 2 corners. Bushell skips the chicane. And all of this is for 16th place.
It's not worth it, boys. Don't smash your cars up.
Plato is into the points. He's 15th, 66 kilos of weight on board with a drive-through.
Incredible.
Now this is the replay on board with Matt Simpson, wriggling his way up alongside Mike Bushell at the hairpin.
Using a judicious use of the inside curve. We've seen that before. Ingram's driving a good race. He's placing the car in just the right positions to defend into the hairpin, etc. And, you know, bearing in mind this is still a front-wheel drive car on a heavily rear-wheel drive bias circuit up against the talents, mercurial talents of the king of Croft, Turkington. You know, I can't emphasise what a good job that Tom Ingram is doing. This is Butcher overtaking Smiley on the run down to Clervaux, down to the first corner. I'm assuming that Smiley might have had some problem because that almost looked too easy, didn't it?
Indeed so. Butcher through, but I mentioned a lap ago that he was dropping down the order. He wasn't. His transponder has stopped working, so it takes a while for the timing screen to notice he exists. But Rory Butcher is still circulating strongly. He was 11th at the start of this lap. And here, Ash Sutton heads the pack. You're on board with Turkington as he has another real go at Ingram this time, but everywhere he wants to be, there's a Toyota right in his way. They go through to start the last lap of the race. Ash Sutton is going to make it 2 in the day, but who is going to be in second place as they come now through Clervaux? For the last time, it's Ingram just ahead.
Yeah, definitely struggling with his front tyres is Ingram. The best opportunity, I think, might be for Turkington if he can force Ingram to defend on the inside into the next corner tower and then get a better traction on the way out. He could do it. Is he forcing him to defend? No, Ingram's holding his line. He's got enough straight line speed. But look, Tordoff has got right in there now that Ingram's defending.
Ash Sutton is on target to be the first person to win 2 in a day this year. We've had double winners, but that's a race at different meetings, but not up until now 2 in the same day. Ingram hanging on to second place under huge pressure. Turkington is third. Tordoff all of a sudden is right there behind them as well. This will be a 6th, 4th place of the season for him, if that's where Sam finishes. But Ash Sutton has catapulted himself back into the mix here at Croft. Tom Ingram is going to be second, or is he? Turkington is right there behind. Tordoff is closing. Jordan is 5th. A great drive by Ash Sutton. He's got 2 corners to go. Can Ingram hang on to second place with the pack stacked up behind him? So far, the answer is yes, there he is. Sutton's heading to the line. Ingram is defending his second place. Tordoff tries to come and find a way past Turkington to the checkered flag. It's a second win of the day, a second win of the season for reigning champion Ash Sutton. Is Tom Ingram going to be second? Yes, he is. Turkington third, Tordoff fourth, Jordan is fifth, and Chiltern will head the next wave of cars through for sixth place. Ash Sutton makes it 2 in the same day, the only driver this year to have done so, and that was impressive with maximum weight on board. Ash Sutton, a race winner by 4 seconds from the defending Tom Ingram ahead of Colin Turkington. A great scrap for second, caught at the end by Sam Tordoff in fourth. Fifth place goes to Andrew Jordan ahead of Tom Chiltern and Matt Neal. Senna Proctor 8th, Dan Lloyd 9th, and Rory Butcher rounding out the top 10. So, as the grid forms there, right at the very back, Josh Cook and Tom Boardman, touring car race winners both. A green flag shown, meaning everybody is back from the warming up lap. And now they look towards the lights. 15 laps for round 15 of the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. Who will make the best start as we go racing? Jordan's away very quickly indeed, but he then gets a bit stuck behind Matt Neal. And Dan Lloyd leads the way. Chiltern goes to the outside line to try to get alongside Proctor. Proctor defends Neal. Neal defends from Jordan. Dan Lloyd leads the way down to turn 1. Chiltern goes second round the outside, but has he gone wide and off the road? Let's see. One of the Subarus in a bit of strife. Ash Sutton bouncing his way up towards Hawthorne. He gets up the inside of Andrew Jordan, who looks like he's lost a little bit of ground, but Sutton is right there on his tail as you ride with Turkington.
Yeah, I spoke to Senna Proctor. He said, I'm going to try and get to the inside because I know it's the safest place to be, but he didn't count on Chiltern getting round the outside. That was a great start from him.
Jordan and Sutton going toe-to-toe, the two rear-wheel drive cars. BMW leans on Subaru, take that Ash, he gets run out wide over the curb. Down towards the Jim Clark S's for the first time on board with Sutton. There goes Jordan, back ahead of him, brave stuff. Through they turn, Matt Neal just up ahead of them. Colin Turkington next in the queue as they dive through Sunny in. The next right is Sunny out. And it is Dan Lloyd leading the way then. He has got 15 kilos on board. Tom Chiltern runs second with 33 kilograms. BTC Norlin Honda versus Motorbase Ford. Then the Powermax Tag Racing Vauxhall is third of Senna Proctor. Out of the complex, into the hairpin at the end of lap 1. And the rest of the field all in a long line. The smoke coming out of Stephen Jelly's BMW as he locks up for the complex in the mid-pack as the leaders come over the timing line at the end of lap 1. Look how tight it is in the midfield. Stephen Jelly gets a bit of a whack from Mike Bushell. They carry on regardless. Lloyd to Chiltern is 0.4 of a second. That's all. Third is Proctor. Fourth is Neal. Jordan fifth ahead of Sutton. Turkington, Tordoff, Ingram ninth. And Dan Camish rounding out the top 10 ahead of Rory Butcher here.
On board with Rory Butcher as we come through. He's got Dan Camish in front of him, and it's a fired-up Dan Camish, I can tell you. He wants to make something happen for himself in this last race. You saw a flash of the brake lights there. Dan Camish, very much a left-foot braker, just using a touch of brake with his left foot. Still would have been flat on the throttle, but just to stabilise the car.
Ingram having a go at the inside of Tordoff. Butcher defending from Smiley, who leans on Oliphant. Look up the road as Ingram got ahead of Tordoff then for 8th place. We'll see as the cars accelerate through Barcroft in a moment. Yes, he has. There is the Toyota ahead, so Tom Ingram has gained 1 place back. That puts him 8th at the expense of the Ford. But, of course, here, Ingram is behind his championship rival, Colin Turkington. So the real plan is to try and get ahead of the BMW. That's going to be the next target for him. Over the line they come. We've now done 5 laps. There are 10 to go, and there's contact as Chris Smiley and Aidan Moffat make contact. And Smiley slides across the grass on the inside. He takes one of the hoardings. He picks up loads of grass. But the Honda will rejoin, but that's poor reward for the team after the engine change between races 2 and 3.
It is, but their other car still leads with Lloyd. It's half a second ahead. Now, look, did Smiley move across, or did... Let's have a look. Here they come into shot. Smiley moved across on Moffat. Moffat was all the way to the edge of the road. So I'm afraid I'm going to call that as Smiley's instigator in that problem. Moffat could not have moved any further over, and you can't lean on a car like that without expecting that result. Sorry, Chris.
But thankfully, no major bodywork damage. A big wild ride over the grass, and he's right in saying the sister car leads the way still, and Dan Lloyd and Tom Chilton are dropping Senna Proctor all the time. Matt Neal fourth, Sutton Turkington, Jordan Ingram, Tordoff, Oliphant rounding out the top 10. Can Dan Lloyd hang on in there? He was quicker in sector 1, he was quicker in sector 2. The gap creeping up, but it's only a very, very slight gain each time through. Now, Rob Austin out, sadly, but it's still game on here for third, fourth, fifth. Proctor, Neal, Sutton and Colin Turkington not that far behind, just perhaps waiting to see what pans out up the road ahead of him. And if he can get another place and more points out of this, he will go for it.
Well, Colin's in a nice position. He's got one of his teammates, Andy Jordan, behind him, so no pressure from behind because Jordan knows exactly what the championship situation is. So Colin can afford to sit there, let Sutton attack Neal and maybe pick up a few places later in the race.
And of course, Turkington is outscoring Tom Ingram. Tom was ahead of Colin in race 2, and the the Subaru dives through on the inside, and that puts Sutton ahead of Matt Neal. Into 4th place goes Ash Sutton into the hairpin. Can Matt fight back? Can Turkington find a way past the Honda? Over the timing line they go, down towards Clervaux. Which car does Sutton defend from? Matt Neal does fight back on the inside. He breaks desperately late. There's contact, and Sutton goes wide off the road through the gravel. Just avoids the barriers, but Ash Sutton gets roughed up big time. He gets forced out wide. There was a little bit of contact between him and Matt Neal, and Ash Sutton had gained 1 place, and he's now lost 3. He's back behind Jordan.
So Sutton moved to the inside, but Matt's already down the inside. I think, well, he's 3/4 of the way alongside, and Sutton had to turn into the corner. But the Honda was quicker along the start-finish line. We really needed to see what happened into the hairpin, perhaps from on board Sutton, to see if there was any contact.
The lead gap you see is going up. It's 1.3 seconds. Sutton flashing his lights, not amused about all of that. He wants to get back up there. And Matt Neal hanging on to this place, keeping Colin Turkington at bay. So the 2 race leaders, Lloyd and Chilton, remain clear of this great battle pack behind. Now it's Turkington who comes up to attack Neal. Sutton tries to go round the outside of Jordan, and Ingram is closing up as well. But I did suggest Matt Neal wasn't going to give up that place without a big fight. He's no lover of the Subaru, it would appear, and so he's got his place back.
Yeah, well, that was forceful driving, wasn't it, to say the least.
Through he goes then. He's running 4th. It's Lloyd, Chilton, Proctor ahead. Matt Neal is 4th, Turkington is 5th. Then it's Jordan, but not for long. Here comes Sutton. He has a look at the inside. No, he couldn't do it there. So Andrew Jordan fends him off. And of course, the longer he defends from Sutton, it means that Turkington is going to be able to escape up the road. We're on lap 10 now, out of 15, and the leading gap is 1.7 seconds. Out of tower, Sutton with a good run out of the corner. Can he get alongside Jordan? No, the BMW accelerates away and keeps the place.
Well, it was a mistake from Jordan 2 corners ahead previously that let Sutton through when he got oversteer coming out of this, out of Sunny Inn, which is the next corner they come to, and Sutton's car very quick up the inside. Look.
Talk us through this, Tim.
Coming through the penultimate but 1 corner. Jordan's got the inside covered, and Sutton moves across and just leans on him in the braking area. Sadly, I would say that's a position he should give back. As much as I'm a fan of Sutton and his driving, I think that's a position he should give back.
I think Andrew Jordan would agree with you on that as well. Bobby Thompson's being given the driving standards flag as well, incidentally, in 21st place as the leaders zap through the Jim Clark S's down to Barcroft once more. Jordan hustles on behind the Subaru. And Sutton going after Turkington now. We've got under 3 laps to go in this final race of the weekend. It's still Dan Lloyd who leads the way. Now there is Tom Ingram keeping Sam Tordoff behind him. 8th and 9th they are. Tom Oliphant just dropping off the back of that group a little bit. Matt Neal into the complex now. Hard on the brakes into the complex comes Sutton. Andrew Jordan behind him. Ash Sutton, they're now in 6th place once more, and Andrew Jordan trying to find a way back through if he can. There is the leader, Dan Lloyd, and look at the gap he's managed to build over Chilton now. 4.3 seconds.
Yeah, it's actually Senna Proctor that's coming back into the frame now. His lap times are quicker than Chilton in front. Proctor's on the hard tyre, and I think Chilton's suffering with that prime tyre going off, and it's going to be a battle for that 2nd place.
Look at Adam Morgan's pace as well. He's just up into 12th. Rob Collard is carving his way through from the back of the grid. So now it's Morgan 12, Butcher down to 13th. 14th is Rob Collard, and he's not given up yet either in the BMW. Through he goes on the inside round Hawthorn. Collard gains another place.
Yeah, and typical charging Collard drive, extracting everything out of that car and enjoying racing through the pack.
Aidan Moffat in the background as well in the Laser Tools Racing Mercedes 15th. Matt Simpson is next up, the Alton Park race winner. So Dan Lloyd is currently on lap 14 of 15, and look at the way that Proctor is closing on Chilton. This gap was 1.2 seconds at the start of the lap, and 0.6 quicker in the first sector alone was Proctor. This should change before the end, shouldn't it?
Yep, it's going to be a fantastic final lap, isn't it? The final couple of laps, so definitely Chilton's going to have to start defending for his life for the end of this race.
Nose to tail for second, all of which will play into the hands of Dan Lloyd. It'll be a very popular win for BTC Norlin if it hangs on in there for one more lap. Dan Lloyd goes through. What did he say pre-race? He was going to go flat out right from the start, go hard. Well, he has done so, and he leads by 5 seconds, and it's going to grow that if Chilton has to defend from Proctor. The battle pack for fourth, Neil, Turkington, Sutton and Jordan. And then there's damage on the front of Ingram's car, potentially. He's got the inside line, and he gets back ahead of Tordoff, who was level with him as they came over the line. That's for 8th place, and Tom Ingram is being given a real workover now.
He's fighting for every point, as you'd expect, for his championship. Now, Senna Proctor's just dropped off a little bit there. He needs to get right on the back of Chilton. Whether Chilton stepped it up a bit and side by side behind.
Turkington's trying to get past Neil, but he's also got to defend from Sutton. So Ash Sutton is on his toes and he's on the move as they come into the Jim Clark Estes for the last time.
Flat out through here. There's only a couple more overtaking places to come. These guys very evenly matched and throwing everything at it. Look at Sutton's car dancing, weaving, bobbing. He's probably trying to get on the back of Matt Neal, really, isn't he? But this man has driven a serene, perfect race. Dan Lloyd and the BTC Norlin team, congratulations to them.
Up to the complex for the last time. Chilton's hanging on to second. Neil is hanging on to fourth, ahead of Turkington, Sutton and Jordan. There is one corner to go as the second place battle comes up towards us. But out of the hairpin, for Bert Taylor and his son Ben's BTC Norlin team, Dan Lloyd wins the first ever victory for Dan in the British Touring Car Championship, the first for BTC Norlin for Bert Taylor's team, and still the battles rage on into the hairpin. Ingram elbows out, trying to keep Tordoff behind him. Chilton is second, Proctor is third. It's a drag race to the line, and Tordoff is going to get ahead. There's contact there as Butcher gets turned round. Tordoff is 8th. Ingram is mugged on the line. He falls back by 97 thousandths. Oliphant 10th ahead of Camish, Collard, Morgan. Anybody for 14th? Here they come. 4 wide almost over the timing line. Butcher 14th. Simpson, Jelly, Moffat down to 17th. Cook, Plato 19th, and James Cole 20th. And that is a very happy gang of guys on the pit wall. They've had a huge repair job after Alton Park. There's been some tragedy in the family as well. And they have bounced back in absolutely perfect style. Dan Lloyd takes his first British Touring Car win, and Bert Taylor, who's a great enthusiast, I suspect might be a rather tearful Bert Taylor after that. That will mean the world to him. Round 15 of the championship is won by Dan Lloyd, his first touring car victory from Tom Chilton and Senna Proctor for the podium. Matt Neal bags 4th ahead of Colin Turkington and Ash Sutton. Andrew Jordan 7th ahead of Sam Tordoff and Tom Ingram. That changing on the line by thousandths with Tom Oliphant in 10th. So, what about the championship? Colin Turkington is now 19 points ahead of Tom Ingram. Matt Neal is 3rd with Andrew Jordan on the advance. He's up to 4th, and Tom Chilton's 5th ahead of Adam Morgan, who was 2nd equal coming into this weekend. Ash Sutton's up to 7th. He was 13th when he got here. Jack Goff is down to 8th. Again, 2nd equal when he came. He's ahead of Josh Cook, and Senna Proctor is now 10th.
Coming up after the break, we head across to the Cattle Park Circuit in Lincolnshire for round 4 of the British Sidecar Championship.